Hey there, gamers! And welcome to the Slay the Spire 4-in-1 Can You Beat Special. I've never touched on this, but I'm actually quite the trophy hunter, and with 4 trophies left to obtain in this game, I felt even more challenged than usual. Slay the Spire is a deck building roguelike in which you have to fight your way to the top of a titular spire to slay its heart and escape. You start your journey with one of the game's 4 characters, each of which has unique mechanics as well as a bunch of unique cards to build a deck with. Initially, your deck consists of only a few basic cards and a character's starting relic. Every turn you gain 3 energy, which you can use to play your cards. Attack cards are for bringing pain. Skills either allow you to defend yourself, or they support you with a slew of other effects. Finally, powers are one-time use cards with effects that last for the entire combat. Your deck is further enhanced by powerful relics that can single-handedly carry you to the end of a run, and single-use potions which you can chug to turn the tides of an unfavorable battle, or disappear in a questionable manner. If you want to make it anywhere near the top of this place, you'll have to piece together a better deck. Fighting the many monsters you'll encounter rewards you with a choice between 3 new cards. Additionally, fighting elite monsters, although more dangerous, will yield you a new relic. More relics can be found in chests along your way, and shops offer you the option of purchasing relics, cards, and potions without all the murder attached to it, so you can have a deck of pristine, graded, mint cards and not some blood-sodden garbage that people on eBay would sell you as near mint. They can also remove cards from your deck. Moving on, resting sites allow you to either heal yourself or upgrade one of your cards. There are also question mark rooms, which can contain either of the previously mentioned entities, or you might get shanked by a goblin. Finally, at the end of each of the 3 acts, a fierce boss will await you that will test the strength of your deck and award you with a rare card as well as a special relic. That about covers the basics of the game, so let's get to our first run. Beat the game using only common cards. This one wasn't too hard. Common cards are, who would have thought, easy to come by, so getting the cards you want isn't too RNG heavy. The problem with this run is simply a lack of scaling. Early on, the game doesn't expect you to have many great cards, so the first act is pretty easy. However, from here on out, your deck drops off quite significantly due to a lack of good combos and the power of higher rarity cards. This is where some good relics and potions will have to come in. For my runs, I chose the Defect as my character, since he can gather several orbs around him which trigger passive effects at the end of each turn that can provide you with some much needed extra defense or damage. He also has some really strong common cards. The idea for my deck was to gather at least 2 claw cards for some form of scaling, and to use the card Streamline as my only real high damage option. Additionally, I used Cool Headed and Cold Snap to congregate frost orbs around me that provide me with 2 defense at the end of every round. To round it all off, I used cards like Charge Battery and Stack to build up some defense. This may sound like a plan, but death was pretty common, you could say. Claw scales only very slowly, Streamline is costly, and the Frost Orb defense boost isn't anything to write home about. I made it to the final boss once, but I was just too slow to take down the guy that keeps buffing the 2 of them, before his partner was strong enough to defeat me using the power of subtraction. In the run, I got some good cards early on, upgraded them right away, and then picked up the boss relic that doubles the effects of my potions. Luckily, in the very next shop, I found a relic that ensures that I get 1 potion after every fight, so I could now collect exactly the potions I needed to beat the boss. Some were upgraded cards and used for relics down the line. I was given a fairy in the bottle potion that revives me upon death. Only thanks to this potion did I make it past the second boss. Pure skill. The third act wasn't much more kind to me, however, and with my lack of raw damage, some of these fights dragged on for way too long. Somehow, with the use of my potions, I made it through and picked up more relics along the way. Fully rested, it was time to challenge the Unawakened one. I poured all my potions down the hatch right away and secured 8 extra damage on all my attacks, as well as 4 extra defense for my Frost Orbs, plus 1 more from a relic. This and my Necronomicon allowed me to one-shot one of the cultists, and the other one was finished by a good old lightning strike. My Frost Orbs provided me with so much defense that it became feasible to block almost all of the boss's attacks, while my own enhanced attacks melted him down. The Unawakened one awakened, but I put him right back to sleep, which marks our first run of the day as complete. 1 down, 3 to go. Next, we have to beat the game with a deck of 5 or less cards. This can be quite tricky, as you constantly have to remove cards from your deck, while you have to be very picky about which cards you want to add to your deck. And these kinds of decks are also very susceptible to enemies that put status cards into your hand. Good draw. This time around, I got sick of the defect, took a 3-month break from the game, and turned to the Ironclad upon my return. He's a bit high maintenance when it comes to the cost of his cards, but he strikes hard and can build high defenses easily. Funnily enough, now the early game became extremely difficult as I was constantly weakening my deck unless I get exactly the cards I needed. At first, I tried using a block heavy build together with the card Body Slam. Supposedly, many players swear on such builds, but in over 100 hours of playing the game, I never managed to pull one off. Well, if we can't accumulate enough mass around our bellies like real gamers, we'll have to go the Chad route and hit the gym. In the run. I removed cards at every opportunity and collected Flex, Heavy Blade, and Whirlwind. Beating the first boss rewarded me with a card offering, and choosing a Pandora's Box relic rerolled all of my strikes and defense. Some of the cards I received were so bad that I didn't just remove them because of the challenge, but the combo I had going already carried me through the second act with ease. Another copy of Flex increased my damage even further, and the champion was slain, leaving me with a relic that removed 2 more cards from my deck. I breezed through the final act, removing the last 2 cards, and although it actually was somewhat close because it was such a glass cannon, I finally got my revenge on everybody's favorite D10. Thankfully, the first 2 runs went rather smoothly, but oh boy, here comes the pain. 2 down, 2 to go. The third run is the one that took me the longest to complete. Beat the game carrying only a single relic. For this one, I chose the Watcher. This ascetic monk's main mechanic are stances. The rest stance doubles the damage of all your attacks, but you should make sure not to get stuck in it at the wrong time because you also take double damage. One mistake with this stance can single-handedly end your run. The Calm stance on the other hand simply provides you with 2 extra energy upon leaving it. Finally, showing enough devotion and gathering 10 mantra will allow you to enter divinity for 1 turn. In this stance you deal triple damage and you get 3 extra energy. She's very powerful overall and should suit us very well for this run, even though juggling between her stances can be quite tricky. Finally, her starting relic also isn't too useful, so at the start of every run I trade it in for a random boss relic as they tend to be much more useful. Unless you get Pandora's Box and reroll into a deck with only a single damage card. I already mentioned how important relics are, and their absence makes the game really tough. Also take into account the mental damage of absent-mindedly picking up a second relic and only noticing it 1 act later. Yeah, go on, abandon the run, you fucking idiot! At first I tried to build using the power Battle Him that spawns a one-time use Smite attack card into my hand every round, which has the retained property, meaning that I can keep it in my hand for as long as I like. I would then gather several of these and unleash them all when the time was right. The power Master Reality would ensure that these cards were upgraded upon creation, which made the build even stronger. Using this build, I got to the Act 3 boss, the Time Eater, with relative ease, but waiting for the cards to amass is slow and my defensive options were weak. So I tried using the skill card Alpha. Alpha costs 1 energy and spawns a Beta skill card in your deck, which costs 2 energy, and spawns an Omega power card in your deck, which costs 3 energy and deals 50 damage to all opponents each and every turn. The only problem with this is the fact that the devs didn't know the alphabet because they jumped straight from Beta to Omega.
It's Gamma, you illiterates.
Oh, and also the whole thing about these cards being once again slow, but this time also expensive. I like the build, but I just wasn't feeling it. So, we're back to Battle Him and dying to the Time Eater. Among others. With how much time that guy stole from my life, at least his name makes sense. In the run. I scored Battle Him early, as well as Establishment, which reduces the cost of cards with a retained property by 1 every round I keep them in my hand. I also made sure to gather some strong defense cards like Third Eye, Protect, and later on Deceive Reality to mitigate some of my earlier issues with the build. I beat the first boss and, lo and behold, Master Reality. Perfect. In the second act, I picked up a strength potion that grants me 5 extra damage for 1 round, and although I technically have all the cards I need, the deck is still slow and the monsters hit hard. Looking back, I don't know what I was thinking when I skipped 3 rests in a row for card upgrades when I was down to just 18 health. I also have no idea how I survived the following encounters. Or the boss battle, which I entered with only 24 health. But nah, wasn't even close. Good thing I picked up that potion though. Act 3 didn't leave me much less bruised, and this random event didn't make it much easier. Thankfully, I stumbled on a merchant on another question mark field and was able to shop some nice cards and potions and get rid of these very annoying curses. Again, we find ourselves face to face with the Unawakened One, the boss that gets stronger with every power card we play. I was able to bring out my power cards somewhat fast, but not fast enough before arriving at Death's Door. I had to pop a potion to enter a Wrath and get rid of the 2 cultists, and shortly after another run was saved by a fairy in the bottle. My first combo wasn't quite enough to put the boy in the second phase, so I had to enter Divinity just to avoid some damage. His attacks hit hard and continually dragged down my health, but I managed to persevere and gather enough attacks as well as mantra to finish him off in one big combo. Three down, 1 to go. Our final challenge is to kill a boss on our first turn. This one was annoying. I reverted to the Ironclad once more and tried to build a deck around applying the vulnerable status effect and then using 2 copies of Dropkick for an infinite. Problem number 1, Dropkick is an uncommon card, so good luck getting 2. Problem number 2, your deck has to be sufficiently small. Problems number 3, 4 and 5, the Time Eater, damn him! Ends your turn every time that you play 12 cards, the heart can only take 300 damage per turn, and the Bronze Automaton has 3 artifacts, each of which protects him from a status effect. I tried to make it cool, okay? A slick little infinite to top off the video. But no, we can't have nice things. So here's the deal. I grabbed a Searing Blow, a card that can be upgraded an infinite amount of times, got it to +9, and did this. You may not like it, but this is what peak performance looks like. I finally shut down the Ass Eater for all the bullshit he's put me through, and that's the run. 4 down, time to go. I started doing this in July last year, and it took me until the end of January to find the motivation to complete it. Anyway, like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and until next time, stay shark.